Hi, I'm Sophie, and I haven't seen a lot of movies.
Hi, I'm Paul, and I'm here to help with that. And we are
SP Film Viewers.
Hi, this is Paul. Before we begin the episode, just wanted to make you aware that there'll be some swearing, and there may be a little bit of distortion on this episode as we recorded it on Zoom. So hopefully it doesn't detract too much from the conversation, because it's a really good episode. Very happy with how it turned out. So with all that being said, hope you enjoy. Here we have our first episode of Monster March. Soph, how do you feel about reviewing this film?
I'm not filled with joy, and I'm not filled with joy with Monster March, to be fair, because I feel like it's just going to be the same film with a different monster, basically, but the same story.
Well, this is slightly different anyway, so hopefully we get some good content out of this one.
It's actually, I'm wondering if I prefer Monster March or Halloween. At least Halloween is a little bit more versatile, which is weird for me to say because I hate anything scary.
Yeah.
Monster March is just a bit blah.
Okay.
I'm killing your little boy heart here, aren't I? But yeah, no, it should be good, and we've definitely got a good guest, so...
Yeah, we definitely have. And for today's film that we're going to be talking about, to quote Ian Malcolm from the first one, that is one big pile of shit. Don't you agree, Alex?
Oh, yeah. They were thinking... they were thinking something terrible with this one, man. They were thinking something so terrible with this one. I don't even want to get started, but let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, so welcome everybody to the episode. Joining us this time is my very good friend from school and beyond, Alex.
Hello. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, no, very gracious to have you on this, and especially talking about the franchise that means a great deal to both of us, but to be talking and riffing on this one in particular that Sophie hasn't seen, she's seen all the other ones now, but she hadn't experienced this one, so I thought it'd be a fun one to talk about.
What the hell? Here we are. Yes, thank you for opening the constantly reopening wound that is Jurassic Park 3. I appreciate to be invited. Thank you. Yes, let's go.
So you lovingly decided that I hadn't seen enough Jurassic Park films, that you had to put me through the third one, which in my instance, any film that has to have a third film, you don't really watch. I kind of think it's like that's when it goes downhill.
Yeah. And
that's kind of what happened. It got to a point of where I started doodling in my book. It got that bad. I was just love hearts, just trying to make myself feel happier.
Going to your happy place.
Go to my happy place. Yeah. There's not much kind of what I've wrote down here, because it's like I just don't know why you made me watch this for an hour and a half.
Could you timestamp the doodles so we can kind of see where your brain was going at what point in the film? So if you started doing love hearts at a certain point, we could maybe triangulate at what point in the film you were at.
I think, did you just give up in the end? You kind of just went, just do it.
It actually looks... I started initially with just the title, where I was just kind of frantically...
Get out of my memory.
The love hearts come about when Billy comes on. I don't know if that means something. Maybe it's because he had a camera.
Yeah. Paul's just glaring at the book with hatred, like, what is this? This film, going into it, because I'm one of those people that really liked the second one, which I found out the older I've got and the more YouTube videos I've watched. The second one actually isn't as well liked as I thought.
I thought that as well, to be honest. I did, obviously, it was sort of like still in the hype from the first one as a kid, remember a thing, but like you say, as you get older, you kind of notice the flaws a little bit more. It's like that doesn't quite work, or this acting's a bit bad here, and that kind of stuff, and the flow is a bit odd. But
and I just remember, because I was so hyped for it as a kid. Like I remember I collected all merchandise. You know, I got all the action figures. I got like a little binder and stuff like that, and I was so obsessed with it, and I loved it so much when I saw it in cinema, and then I carried that forward. Obviously, I was getting a bit older, so you kind of hide it a bit more because you're embarrassed that everyone's like, "Oh, look at my dinosaur merchandise." It's like, you're 13, Alex. Oh yeah, sorry, But yeah, and then going into the third film, I remember the red flag for me, like it was immediate, where it just said "restricted" in giant letters at the start. Do you remember at the start of the film? It just goes.
Yes.
Lasorda, restricted.
Yeah.
And I was just like, imagine if they opened the second film like that. Just, it would have just immediately ruined it. And I just remember, oh God, it's all happening. It's all flooding back. Yeah.
I think I said to you before about I mentioned that sadly, this was the first DVD I ever bought, and I'm expecting high hope. I obviously didn't know it was at the cinema. It must have just passed me by or something, or at the point when
you
would have got
lucky.
that. But so I got it and thinking, oh, this will be great. I love Jurassic Park, me. And then shortly after, I think again, I guess there was when I saw it initially, I was thinking, this is not as good as what I remember. But now it's, as I keep watching it for some reason, it's just like, oh gosh, this is just
as your brain slowly leaves your ears, dribbles down onto the floor.
Yeah, and and weirdly, I don't know if this is when Universal, changed their opening theme as well. I think I kind of associate, sadly, this film with the first time hearing, thing. So it's like I kind of just assumed after that it was like it ripped off, but then it's my naivety. I think
that's really tragic.
Yeah,
because like for me, like I always like, whenever I think of that, I think of like some really amazing films about to come on. But for you to think it's Jurassic Park 3 is about to come on, you'd be kind of like hoping a meteorite shows up in the middle of the logo, just smashes through the air, and just watch the planet erupt. No. Yeah. Then they try to trick you into thinking it's really shiny and new because it was like a silver DVD case.
Yeah,
it's got
exactly.
The nice new dinosaur skeleton on. It's like, we're gonna. This is Jurassic Park 2000, boys. We're signing up.
So I'm guessing you don't have the DVD.
I did do, yeah.
Anymore though.
Yeah.
So did you chuck it after you watched it then? Because
at some point. The window.
I must have been thinking, I don't need this anymore. But I've obviously got, like, probably like you, I don't know if you still got the Blu-ray thing with the 3 films in it, because that's the version I've got to watch. Had to watch this on.
It's actually, you talk about it, but I'm really bad with box sets collecting anyway. But I generally don't like buying box sets for that reason, that there's always that one turd that's in the box set. So I don't want to get an Aliens box set because the only 2 Alien films I want to watch are the first and second one.
Yeah, exactly.
So just having the third and fourth one there are kind of like just constant reminders that the story continues. It's like, well, I don't want it to. It's fine.
I don't want it to continue. Thanks. Yeah.
It had a perfectly good ending. I'm in my happy place. What are you doing? Yeah. So no, I've always bought them separately. I never got a box set. I'm just kind of weird like that. It's like Jaws. Definitely buy separately.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone wants the Jaws box set, to be honest.
No, why would you? You start with leave it at Jaws 1, and that's what more do you need?
Well, you can watch Jaws 2, which is Jaws 1 but worse, or you can watch Jaws 3, which somebody basically said if you were to approach Jaws 3 as an art house film, you'd actually appreciate it more as an original movie. But if you approach it as a Jaws sequel, it's just dreadful. And then obviously I think everyone ever has talked about Jaws and the Revenge. Have you seen Jaws the Revenge, Sophie?
No, I've only seen the first one.
There's a film you can do.
No.
I'm not gonna spoil too much, but the shark roars like a lion.
Okay, that might make me feel a bit better. I don't know if you've heard our Jaws podcast.
Episode, yeah.
Because I have a little bit of a background with Jaws, so I'm not a big fan, am I?
No, but you can obviously, if you haven't listened, and everybody else can go and listen to that episode to find out why.
I'm going to sign off after this and do it immediately. Yeah, no, but Jaws Revenge, definitely. The shark comes out, it roars like a lion, and there's a brilliant story about Michael Caine where in one shot he goes into the sea. And then he has to obviously come out, and all his clothes are wet. But in all the setting up for like the subsequent shot, he dries up. And I'm not sure if he refuses to go back and get himself wet or what. But basically, if you watch the film, there is a shot where he should be drenched, but he's bone dry. So he goes in, he comes out, he's just completely dry. And that's the kind of film Jaws Revenge is. You need to sign up for that. So definitely, yeah, it's not even scary. You're fine.
He's proper selling that to me.
You're making me watch Jurassic Park 3. You can watch Jaws Revenge.
I didn't make anybody. It's this person here, Paul Parks.
Yeah.
You're just
along
suffer.
for the ride, mate. You're just
You're tearing us apart.
Right, we'll get back to the story in quotation marks.
Yes.
Not much of it, is there, to be fair?
So we have our opening shot with the is the sauna restricted. And we see this kid and his, well, you assume it's his dad at that point or whoever he's with, paragliding in Dinosaur, I think is the company name on this boat. I think so. Obviously they're capitalizing on this for whatever reason, like tours around the island or something. It's like, really?
When the boat driver is cannibalized by Cloud.
I'm thinking, what did eat him? It's a bit like the thing in the second one where it's like, well, who ate the people on the boat when the cargo boat?
Yeah, but this one's particularly dumb because I think we're assuming it's got to be a pteranodon, or a pterodactyl that kills, and that's what we're assuming. Yeah. But the door's locked. They make a big old point later on in the film that they get out because the door's left unlocked. Mm-hmm. So how is there a pterodactyl out there anyway? So we've actually got to delete pterodactyls from the argument. So the other thing could be water dinosaurs, but they could have swam off somewhere else. So honestly, the only thing it could be is it has to be a man-eating cloud. And that's
the only explanation, yeah.
That's the only explanation for what happened. That's the twist, and that'll be Jurassic Park 7. It'll be the Jurassic Park logo, but instead of like a T-Rex skeleton or a Spinosaurus skeleton, it'll just be a cloud, and that'll be the next film. It'll fantastic. Yeah,
that's a good point. Actually, what you point about the fact that obviously the logo changed as well from the T-Rex to the Spinosaurus, which is obviously our main dinosaur that's featured in this one. It's kind of like, oh, that's something different. Obviously, when I was younger, like, I can't wait to see what this looks like.
Yeah. We'll talk about the Spinosaurus when it pops up. I've got words about the Spinosaurus. Yeah. Generally, as a 7-year-old child, mostly living his rage for his 32-year-old self. But So,
And then we cut to obviously a familiar face, Alan Grant.
Yes.
Playing with some dinosaur toys to what I assume is his kid, and then we soon quickly, and then it's Ellie Sattler with her.
And then we talk about the greatest crime that this film commits. Where effectively, at the end of Jurassic Park 1, he shows that Alan Grant's arc through the film is effectively he doesn't like kids, and at the end of it, he does. It's a lovely, understated little arc that through crisis and through facing his own fears of being with children and looking after them and seeing that he can do that, he could be a good dad. And him and Ellie can get together, they can have a family, and they can live happily ever after, which is why in this film, when she walks out with random douchebag man, you're just like, wait, this is great. This is fantastic. You've immediately ruined the first film. I hate you. Leave me alone. And I'm not kidding. I'm pretty sure that's actually what then spoiled the rest of the film for me. Like that moment there.
Agree on that completely, because I went, wait a minute. I thought, didn't these two get together? Like, weren't they an item in the first film? Like, there was like that little bit of, because there's that other sleazeball guy with the black hair.
Ian Malcolm.
Yeah.
And sleazeball?
Yeah, don't be saying that to Alex. God.
Why?
This guy's my hero.
Keep over.
you know how many times I've got up to a woman with a glass of water and dripped on the back of her hand? That's like my entire dating profile. Run.
Oh dear, maybe that's why we're not having much luck. I'll help you on it.
How dare you? Anyway, sorry, carry on.
But no, I agree with you on the fact that I thought they would get together.
Yeah.
And initially I was like, wow, she looks really good for her age, doesn't she? Like I was saying, how like...
Say she still does, to be honest.
Well, I don't know. Yeah. Paul. But no,
Paul's put Love Hearts in his journal when talking about the films that
Love Hearts next to Love Dance.
But you'd have thought they would have got together. That did spoil it for me a little bit as well. It left kind of a little bit of a bitter taste because it was like, what you thought was true in the first film actually isn't after you've watched the third one. And it's like, did I really need that bubble to be popped for me? No.
Yeah, I think that's the point as well, because the argument obviously a writer would use is, well, you know, we're showing that there's some real world, you know, sometimes things don't work out, which, you know, fair enough. But this is a story about dinosaurs on a dinosaur island and going back to the dinosaur island and then getting chased by dinosaurs in your dinosaur film. So I think you could kind of suspend that much realism. You could have had the happily ever after. And in fact, if you were to think about it going forward, them still being together would have made what happens later on at the end of the film, it make more sense than exactly, it does when he's just, you know, Uncle Alan who pops round and, you know, corrects what dinosaurs you're playing with, you know. Yeah, just poor.
Poor writing, yeah, definitely.
I've literally wrote in mine, Alan single. That's literally what I wrote. Like he's a dating profile.
Did you put a sad face with a tear?
Then after that, that's when the Love Hearts came, and then Billy came for me. That's mine.
That quick. Yeah. So the next one I'm right in saying is he's in front of the audience and he's talking about velociraptors and how if you blow into a reconstructed vocal cord, blah blah blah. You know, talks about communication, and then he gets, you know, pegged by William H. Macy, and Tia Leone is the worst person.
Oh yeah, but before that, he obviously makes a statement when he's in this conference room, and he's saying like, no, when obviously one of these people asks, would anything make you go back to the island to go and study these dinosaurs? And he's like, no thought on heaven or earth will get me back to that island. But we soon learn that's not the case.
Many zeros I
think that is like up there as like the top 3 like most memorable things from this film. Like that line followed by the motivation. I mean, it is just terrible. It's just so badly done. It's like you'd have to, like, at least in the second one, it gave him a good reason to go to the island. Like he's like, I'm not going. I ain't going. Oh, your loved one's there. Oh,
yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, I need to go and save her. Whereas this film, it's cash. I mean, that's just weak. Like, what I imagine with that is it's a guy sat there. He's had a long weekend. He's put the script off for ages. Hollywood's there saying, right, we need the script, pal. He's there going, well, you know, we spend half the film writing, you know, keeping up with it and updating it. So I'll just put money in for now. And they just kind of then stared at it throughout production. It's like, no, it's fine. No, that makes sense. That's good. Right. Okay, cool. Right. Brill.
But yeah, we've got these William H. Macy and Tia Leone, who Paul and Amanda Kirby, respectively. You kind of just like you don't really get warm to these characters from here or at any point really throughout the film. To be fair, they're just so unlikable. Yeah,
I think it's because as well they don't really give them any kind of redeeming quality throughout the film. By the time they start doing things that would endear someone to them, they've already done so much bad that you can't possibly still like them. It's kind of like you kind of just think, instead of at the good parents, you think a broken clock is right twice a day. Instead it's kind of like, they got something right. Well done, you guys. Well done. You know, you just
I agree completely. And when we got on to kind of getting towards the island, the first thing I kept on saying to Paul, and I know I'm jumping ahead, was the shouting part. For me, with these two, like, so contradictory, one telling the other stop shouting, and then the other one starts shouting, and it's like, you've just told her off for that. Why are you now shouting your head off?
The other foot, it makes sense, but
I was just...
It's two city goers out in the jungle. It's comedy. This is how you'd act if you were here. No. I think if I was there, I'd be clung to a tree and holding on for dear life.
I wouldn't be going. I'm sorry. I know you probably would love to go, Paul. Like, and I'd be like, okay, if that's what you want to do, you get your sent off, right? And I'll stay at home, and you can go and have that experience. But I don't think I could handle being there. And no.
But it is a good point. Because they are unlikable, but also they don't put any effort into anyone. So I always got a sense, even when I remember watching the first time, that it felt just quite cold and lonely. It felt really like Alan Grant was alone, really. Like he was just kind of surrounded by imbeciles. Whereas like in the first and second films, it felt like there was kind of characters there who were all in it together.
Yeah.
This film, it just feels like he's by himself, which it made it feel kind of... you just couldn't get warm to it. I just never enjoyed that aspect of it. It just felt like he was having to just carry all these absolute buffoons all the time. And even his partner, Billy, Heartthrob Billy, he's just as bad, it turns out. I mean, I'm getting ahead, sorry, but
no, that's just, fine. Yeah. But he's very well known in his personality, and he's kind of saying like, this thing about his backpack and a lucky backpack that saved me from thing. It's kind of like somewhat like sort of foreshadowing, trying to make something from that to they'll carry on later on in the story, but it's kind of just like nothing
to
really.
Be fair, Billy is the whole reason why Alan's in this mess, because he didn't actually want to go out to have a meal with these people anyways. He wasn't interested, and he was like kind of shoehorning him in, so you already know he's not a good character from the get-go, even though he somewhat redeems himself at the end, doesn't he? Somewhat.
Tries to, yeah.
But he doesn't really redeem himself, does he? He's just... Because I'm pretty sure as well that he's still the reason that they're kind of screwed in general while they're there.
Yeah.
I always got that vibe. I never felt... I feel like he was just kind of like... Billy's that guy who's desperately trying to help, but he accidentally sets fire to your house. And then he tries to put it out, but he throws gasoline on it. He's like, "Oh, how did that get there? Oh no, just Billy, please." What stuff's in there, Billy?
Even though you think initially he's kind of trying to do well, and you think, but he's never going to compare to Ellie, is he? Really, like that partnership that they had at the, it's just never going to be like that. So it's already weakened by this kind of character who wants to be like Alan. I feel like he's like, when I grow up, I want to be you.
Yeah.
I think it would have been more interesting if instead of Billy, they had somebody that was more of a foil for him. Not like Ian Malcolm foil, but you could go a different aspect, because having him just as kind of like doughy-eyed looking up to him, it's not particularly engaging in that kind of situation, especially when you get another character exactly like that, but just they're a bit more sassy later on. It just it just feels a bit crowded, and it doesn't really add anything. And except for obviously the redeeming thing that he does, it doesn't really do much except put them in more mortal peril. So that was bad. And then they finally go to the island.
The classic other that people obviously meme a lot as well. Just before that, we obviously land and there's Alan he goes to sleep and then he wakes up in this dream.
That's the most
and even Sophie was like, "What the hell?"
I would actually love to know. Please, just describe what happened after you watched that, because that's my favorite thing to do. I do that at work sometimes. I'll show someone that video just to see their reaction. Like, this is in a film.
I just didn't think it was real, to be fair. Like, I was like thinking, have they put this in by accident? Like, completely just not meant to have added it in the film? Like, I don't know what value it gave. And it just seemed really out of place and bizarre. I was like...
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Like, what? Whose dreams is like that anyways? Like, and straight away I noticed that the dinosaurs looked weird. I was like, it looks...
Yeah.
I don't know if they've tried to improve it on the mechanic side of things and they've just made it worse.
I think part of the reason, obviously, and when we get to the island and see the other ones as well, I think it doesn't work in its favour because I think the first one, obviously, it was like predominantly in like darker lighting and stuff, more atmospheric. Whereas this is almost essentially broad daylight, and you kind of see it doesn't work as well in that fact in its favour because it just looks more obvious that it's a robot or a puppet and a bit stiff and everything.
It just looks really fake, and which is weird because you've got technology on your side. Really, the third movie
should have honed in that very well, but
improved.
Yeah.
Especially CGI as well. You could just tell they kind of pulled the budget back after Spielberg stepped down because CGI, it's pretty naff. It's not good. I'll talk about a specific scene later on where the CGI is absolutely dreadful. But I know what you mean. But they also, with the Raptors, for example, they've clearly what's happened is they were trying to make them more realistic. It was about the time just before Jurassic Park 3. They were talking about Raptors probably had feathers and all that kind of stuff. So they wanted to make them more like what the scientists were saying. But it's like it's a bit late now. You just have 2 films where they look like this. Just then having a third film where you've got, hey, I'm Featherhead. How's it going? You're like, well, what? Fair enough if there's still labs up and running, cloning more dinosaurs. So you're making these new raptors. But it's long established that, the second island, Isla has been decrepit and no one's used it for ages. So why have they just got this random, hey, I've got quills. How's it going? Wink. It doesn't make sense to me at all.
I know they tried to obviously also with the patterns of them as well, like give them like more distinct, different colorings and stuff to sort of like distinguish them from the other ones as well. So it's an odd choice really, to have done that. Really, like you say, it's kind of like, oh well, maybe they did have this pattern based on we don't know we didn't know all the facts back then. So now we're just trying to cover our tracks a little bit.
Because that's something I really appreciated about Jurassic World, which, it's not my favourite film by any stretch, but one thing I really liked that they did was they actually just went back and completely owned that they don't look like the actual dinosaurs. They said, well, of course they don't look like dinosaurs because we use this to plug in that and do that. That's why the raptors are bigger. That's why the T-Rexes have feathers, all that kind of stuff. That's a really tidy, smart explanation. It just absolutely, well, there you go. That's why it's done. This film just randomly just then having scientific accuracy in the middle of it. It's just kind of like, ooh, bad. I'm going to keep saying that after every point. No. Bad.
Yeah. And then, like I say, we'll get back to the fact that they now landed on the island, and then this shouting is starting, and
a megaphone as well. Like, what the heck? Like, why would you do that on an island which there's a dinosaur that can eat you? But I'll just scream into this megaphone, and you don't actually know at this point who she's shouting for, do you? You're not really aware of why they're there. So you just think she's this insane woman on an island shouting for somebody.
Yeah, it's basically, it's either she has no common sense, and it's also, though, I mean, wouldn't they have discussed the game plan or whatever before landing on the island? Like you wouldn't just go in blind, like, hey guys, we're just going to land a plane. Everyone just pile out and see what happens.
Yeah.
Exactly. Maybe they'll show up because it looks like a pretty big island as well. Just the idea that you're just going to, land on a random runway. And he's just going to be there like, hey, how's it going? I mean, it's not like Star Wars where you can blame the Force, like, oh, crash land exactly where Yoda is.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't have that and then also expect Sam Neill and Laura Dern not to be together at the start of this film. That's just all I'm saying. You can't be too realistic in one aspect and then unrealistic in the other. It's just not fair. It's not right. It's wrong. Wrong.
I agree with you, and I think it is the kind of thing where then they get to a point of where we see this dinosaur, which I'm like, ooh, what's this dinosaur that's coming out? Because obviously with it shouting, this big dinosaur that's not a T-Rex decides to come out. And I'm like, what is that dinosaur? And I said to Paul, it doesn't look realistic whatsoever.
No, it really doesn't.
Really a disappointment. But you kind of get this scene where it feels like it should be action-packed. Obviously, they're trying to, but it's just a bit laughable. It's like when they...
Yeah, I wrote down like in the thing that rolling around in the plane, and it's just as the Spinosaurus sort of like playing around with it and just going a bit like rigid and like it's just.
I always got confused by that scene. I don't know if you guys could correct me. I don't know if I'm being stupid about it, but initially, as they're getting back into the plane, so. The Spinosaurus is behind the plane. That's the impression I always got. It's behind it. It's chasing the guy and it catches him or something.
Yeah.
And then they all pile in and it starts taking off.
Yeah.
And then I always got the impression another one runs in front of the plane and it flies through it and it gets blood on it. But when I watched it last time, I started to think that they're actually implying that's the same Spinosaurus. So I always got really confused. I always felt like the plane accidentally killed one, and then the other one was still alive. I was just, I think
still
blame the cat.
There was just the one, and it's just the way that they did the editing on that to make it look that way or something. But it's just very.
They don't kill it.
I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if you guys picked up on it. I don't know if it's just me completely just being sideways brain looking at it. But that's always the impression I got until the last viewing.
I think it's the way that they angle it, because obviously eventually it looks like they're trying to run away from it, and he's kind of been playing with the aeroplane, but then they kind of get to a point of where they take off,
Yeah.
and there's a guy running, wanting to be like getting on the plane. I believe it's his blood that's splattered on the plane because the dinosaur eats him.
Yeah.
No, it looks like it goes through the dinosaur. That's the thing. It looks like it actually flies through him. So I always assumed that whatever it was that ran in front of him died. But you know what I mean? You shouldn't have this kind of confusion.
Yeah.
About
No.
You're even making us think now, like
second guessing that. But I'm pretty sure I always assumed that it was just he came across and it was blood on the screen, and then the plane's just going into the forest somehow, even though it's on the runway. But I don't know. And
then it crashes.
Yeah.
And
just hits all the foliage and trees as it goes through, and I don't know.
Also, can we talk about why is the Spinosaurus like got such a love on for like just torturing these people? Like with the T-Rex, the T-Rex didn't really hunt people down. It was just went about his business. It just happened that these people were in his territory. Even in a Lost World, where it could be perceived that it was kind of harassing them.
Yeah.
It very clearly has gone into, it's following the blood. That's how he explains it. The T-Rex isn't trying to murder people. It's not that's not fun sport for it. It's just you're in its territory. This Spinosaurus, like full on, is just like Jaws. He's like, I'm gonna hate you.
Yeah.
I want to kill you all. just
trying to make it out like it's like just a killing machine, and just like, don't know, just.
Can I ask a question? Because I'm not really into dinosaurs. It's never been my kind of thing. When I was a little girl, obviously dinosaurs weren't on my wall, and I didn't have figurines.
What?
With the scene that comes next with the T-Rex and the Spinosaurus, is it?
Yeah.
Which one is stronger? Actually,
who would win in the fight?
Who would? Like if it was a Pokemon battle.
The argument is that a Spinosaurus it was bigger than a T-Rex. It was definitely scientifically a much bigger creature. Well, not much bigger, but definitely longer, taller. But the T-Rex was like bulkier. To be honest, I'm a bit daft with my dates. I don't know if they're both Cretaceous periods, so I don't know if they even would have ever fought each other. But the idea, effectively, it's a proper Hollywood idea that, did you know, guys, there's this dinosaur that was bigger than the T-Rex. It was bigger, so should we use that one instead? And that's the entire. I have no doubt that was the entire thought process.
I think
why
so.
They put it in.
Yeah,
so,
bigger is better. Yeah,
I think the Spinosaurus probably on paper would be. I think it would be. It's got longer arms as well. That's also true. That is such an advantage.
Yeah, a couple of things.
And also the thing about the T-Rex that No, definitely. But the thing that they've theorized about the T-Rex recently, I don't know if it's recent, but definitely in the last few years, they reckon it was a scavenger. Like it was a big old bully boy. They'd wait for the smaller dinosaurs to kill the prey, and then it would go in and scare them off with its size and just eat. They reckon that's what it done, because its arms would have made it so like the only thing it could have relied on is either its mouth or its tail. You know, it wouldn't have, its arms make it like completely. You know, what else could it do except ram things sideways? It's kind of like it's like a big truck. So I think a Spinosaurus would win. But does that mean I want to see it happen?
Of course
not. You know,
no.
I love the T-Rex as a kid. No, do I want to see it happen? Especially so unceremoniously. Like T-Rex get like one good hit in, and then it's like anyway, just great.
Yeah, and also the model itself again looked pretty piss poor and. You know, just again, just like an actual theme park model, really, and then some dodgy CGI doing the fight.
I think again that would have been the lighting, though, because it is Stan Winston again, isn't it? Who does the animatronics?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So unless it's like budget or lighting, I think they're the only two things it could possibly be. But I do agree with you. They do look off. Like the T-Rex definitely looked off because I don't know if you noticed, but his movements are really rigid as well. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
they did a really good job kind of hiding it in the other ones, but in this one, it's just kind of like it's doing the robot a little bit. It's like it's kind of like you're in the Universal. Yeah, it's like
Exactly.
you're in the Universal ride when it comes up above your head. It's like, hey, buddy. Yeah, but it dies, which is great. Another great decision that I really applaud.
No, it was proper. I was proper upset. I'm not gonna lie. When I saw that initially, and this kid like, what? No, this is like. I know it's not the same one that's been on because it's on a different island, of course. But it's just really sad to see like what was like my favorite dinosaur, and it's just been pwned by this big crocodile thing.
Yeah,
and
don't get me wrong. I don't really like the T-Rex. But
they're trying to make that as obviously this new dinosaur is the big villain in this, really. So it's like, the T-Rex is obviously the good scenes.
Yeah, it's an easy way to make a big bad character, isn't it? When it kills off your childhood hero, it's an easy win. But I just think in this instance, it could have either been done better, or you didn't even need the T-Rex in there. Because if you're gonna have a big dinosaur fight, either really have a dinosaur fight like they do in Jurassic World, or don't just leave it alone.
Mm-hmm.
There's an argument with Jurassic Park 3 that it's kind of connecting to the very cheesy elements of Jurassic Park, which is fine. But I just feel like it doesn't do a good job of it. With Jurassic World, even though it doesn't, for me, touch the first two films, it does a much better job really grabbing the cheesy aspect of the films and kind of... I mean, that fight at the end is nonsense. It's absolutely nonsense, but I love watching it every time.
It's very fun, to watch that one. You get some satisfaction out of that one as well. Just
whereas this fight here is just roar. I bite you. I bite you too. And I bite you again, and you're dead.
It's just like snap your neck, and that's it. And that's like you could have saved money there and put some effort into something else, perhaps. I don't know. It's just.
And who wants to see the T-Rex die?
And the film's only, like I said before, it's only like an hour and a half anyway. So it's like as you go through, it's like the pacing of this is like. Other films are like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. You've got more stuff going on there. This is shorter, and you're getting constantly feeling either bored or things moving too quickly for your liking. It's like I don't understand what's going on with the pacing in this.
Yeah, the other films sat down a little bit and kind of tried to address maybe the story they were trying to tell. Like you always had that lovely scene where they sat down around the dinner table in the first one.
Yeah,
they're talking about is this morally acceptable? You have these moments of sit down and calm and discussion.
Yeah,
this film is just kind of there's none of that. It's kind of like couple loves child, child's good, and the end. Go away. Thanks for the money. Yeah, that's the gist I got from this one.
Yeah. Before we move on, just real quick with the story, the fact that with the Spinosaurus design, anyway, I don't know if you knew this recently, they discovered it was actually more of a, which kind of comes into play later on. Actually, the Spinosaurus was actually more like an aquatic thing, anyway. Like how it resembles sort of like a crocodile. Actually, more had the ability to like swim in water anyway. So that kind of makes sense. But,
and to be fair, they'll be able to say, well, we had that, so...
trying to be clever, but not really.
Yeah, it's like, we knew that. Why else would it have a giant thing on his back?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then, obviously, they come across the dinosaur parasail thing hanging in a tree. And obviously, at this point, we're getting this bickering between everybody. It's just like, shut up.
You're in the middle of a dinosaur-infested forest.
Yeah. Shouting at the top of the lungs, yeah.
I mean, this doesn't happen in like Jason Voorhees, does it? Like, they're in the middle of the forest. There's a masked murderer of machete out there. They're not in the middle of the forest shouting.
No.
Like, why is this any different? Like, why is because it's a family film? Therefore, shouting in the middle of forests is something that just normal people do in family films. No, it's just there seems to me just a complete contempt for the audience in here. It is one of those films where it's kind of just a film. Stop taking it so seriously. It's like, oh, I want to. I like the other two. I want to take it seriously. I'll have fun with it, but I'd still like to enjoy it. And not constantly have to ask myself questions about it. And like, why is this happening? But I do get a sense with Jurassic Park 3, it was honestly just a case of shut up, sit back, eat your popcorn, and go away when the film's done. And it's just stuff. There's just those little things like screaming in the forest all the time. They should have learned. I'm not kidding. After the first time when that Spinosaurus shows up, wrecks the plane, makes it so they can't leave the island, kills some guy, eats him, rolls the plane over and smashes it, nearly kills everybody else. After that moment, they should have learned, oh, maybe I shouldn't scream and shout. But they go on and immediately do it again. Yeah. So this is that thing I was talking about with these people are irredeemably bad because they don't learn. They don't learn. They're so single-mindedly like, save my child. That will kill everyone around them, including themselves. So no one will save the child, which is malfunction. Yeah.
Malfunction. Yeah.
Anyway, I've forgotten that we're podcasts and I'm not visible. So just so no one could see my eyelids kind of independently moving.
Having a brain aneurysm type of thing going on there.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. Again,
so the skeleton comes down.
Yeah.
Ben. I don't know why I wrote this down. I think that's the first name she shouts when she is on the island. And I was like, oh, this might be a valid name I need to write down. And then obviously he's dead, isn't he? Like the space of 30 minutes probably. Yeah.
I just love the idea you put Ben down there. I thought you did after he came down, just like skeleton form. It's like, oh, it's Ben. Write it down. I remembered his name. There he is.
Yeah. Not looking so good, mate.
And can we talk about Ben's camcorder?
Yeah, I wrote this down actually. I think, but I think it's about 8 weeks. Camera battery dead. I was like, of course it's going to be dead in 8 weeks,
But also, it's in the middle of a tropical jungle, absolute typhoons, raining in that 8 weeks. Yeah. So this thing should not be functional at all anyway. Yeah. Like it's been out. Even if it was in his jacket pocket, it would have gone in. It would have gone down his neck, his sleeve. It would have gone down everywhere because that kind of rain, it gets in you regardless. Yeah. So there's no way that thing survived. Yet he's got it. I would love to know where he got it from. I would love to know who made it. Whoever was doing the marketing the film, I'd love to know. It would be great. I'd love one of those things. That's fantastic.
Get what's it called when you write a little review about the product on like Amazon or something, and you're like, oh, this product is definitely waterproof.
My uncle got murdered alive and his corpse was hung up in the jungle for 8 weeks, but the camcorder still works. Unbelievable, guys. 5 stars.
Yeah. Would recommend. Yeah. Again, a redeemable character's points is Billy. This is a bit like Alan sees him holding back. And it's like, oh, what are you doing, Billy? And it's like, oh, nothing, just having a look or something. It's like, oh, how do you not question the fact that he might be you just literally pointed out there's nests of eggs lying around. Why are you not looking a bit shifty? Yeah. He's putting something away.
He's putting his camera away.
The
camera bag. Duh. That's what.
Why is he looking so shifty about it, Sophie?
Leave Billy alone.
No one looks that suspicious when they're putting the camera away. It's like, oh God, please, it's very important. So
they go to the compound after that, and Paul, who's going to the vending machine, have anybody got coins? It's like, really, dude? And then Billy just kicks in the glass. And it's like, yeah, just do that. And then he tries to do it pathetically. And
he hurts himself, doesn't he? He's limping along.
What a shite character. And then,
I mean, to be fair, the one thing I'd say is I'd probably be a bit like him in that respect. I'd be I don't think I'd try to put money in, but I think I would try to break it up and then hurt myself. And then I think that's probably how I'd die on the Jurassic Park island. I think that's how I'd go. He broke his arm on a vending machine, and then he screamed, and then he advertised his position and died. So then they go into the room with the jars.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And you please tell me you've made a note about the Shakespearean raptor.
Oh yeah. I did definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, who absolutely understands how to pose behind a jar. So let's ignore the fact that perspective alone, you'd be able to see that he's behind the jar. let's ignore, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the fact that a velociraptor who doesn't know how these jars work, don't know what they do, you can't understand it because its entire existence is around breeding, sleeping, eating. That's it. That's all it wants to do. But it's seen this jar and it's like, they put things in these jars. And he's waited and waited years and years for somebody to finally come to this island. And they've walked in and he's like, this is it, boys. This is my time. He goes in, he's like, coming in the room, right, in a position, and he stands there, and he waits, and he looks, and he plays dead, and he's thinking, God, I hope they're not stupid enough to think I'm stood behind this thing. And then he walks past and looks in, and he can't believe his luck, and he dives out, and there we go. There's our first velociraptor. Massive scare, brilliant. 10 out of 10 film. End it there. Nice podcast, guys. It's been great. I'll see you later.
I do think to that scene because I said to you, didn't I? I was like, that scaling is way off. He's not in, and I'm thinking he's not in this jar. I'm like,
it doesn't make sense, does it? It really doesn't.
And I straight away was saying to you, I'm like, oh well, he's going to jump out at her. Why is she even looking at it? Really, like,
she's like, oh, what's this thing?
Maybe I should touch it.
The running away scene where they're like scrambling all over the floor, like literally she falls, doesn't she? She's like running away. And I'm thinking this is just so dramatic. I know, God, if a dinosaur was running after me, I probably would fall over. But it's just the way that they've done it. Like, well, would you have got that close thinking it was in a jar? Really? Would you? Because I know me, I'd have been like a bit cautious, not just staring at something.
Yeah, this isn't a museum where you can just no fear of things attacking you.
It was also suspect in the way that it was a perfectly preserved head, whereas as established everywhere else, they're all like weird old bits embryos, and decomposing and all that kind of stuff. So it should already kind of like stand out already that it doesn't look normal within the scene. It's just So again, it's another point on irredeemable, dreadful people. Like they're just dumb. They keep repeating the same mistakes. They don't have perspective. The only thing they could get away with it is if she normally wears glasses and she's just refusing to wear them. In which case, fair enough. But they never established that in the films. So we carry on. The
time to establish that.
And they didn't have time. They didn't have time in the 90 minutes and the abrupt ending.
Can I just touch upon the fact of that Eric is alive? Like, how is this boy alive when his parents are this stupid? This is my question.
Before he even gets to the island, how is he alive?
I don't understand. Like, if you've got parents like that. I mean, like, how is he even surviving on this island, or how did he survive putting up with him?
Wits? Yeah, exactly.
Like,
dear, the baby keeps screaming. What does it want? I don't know.
Unless he's the milk cans or something, because to be fair, he's really not his father's son, is he?
No, he's nothing like his dad. No, there's no way.
Or two idiots cancel each other out and create a genius. Yeah. That's the only other explanation. Because he is smart. He established in the film.
Yeah, he is really smart. And I don't understand how Ben, obviously the paragliding man, why he dies and the little boy, if he's so flipping savvy, leaves him to die. Like, why is he stuck up in the paraglide?
I said, obviously, they got the bit with the camera. It's kind of like the footage showing, pass me the camera down, or whatever, and then it kind of just cuts out. So you can only assume, obviously, this is kind of just clutching at straws here, is the fact that it's, at that point, a dinosaur may have come along. It's kind of like, he had to run off, and then he's left bent, so he didn't go back to him or something. That's all you can assume. But I think I'm thinking giving the film too much credit there, perhaps. But
it's the cloud. It's the cloud, Paul. Came back, finished the job, and that was it. The end. Came in, ate his face, left. Nice camcorder guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that would have made a smarter film, because if they were working together to survive in the jungle. Also, Ben would have been a good character to flesh out, see their relationship with each other. But instead, we get a nameless bodyguard who gets stabbed in the back by a raptor, which is a cool scene. I do like that. Yeah. I remember watching it in the cinema, and since it's without being too violent, it's quite gross. It makes the raptors very sinister. The whole stomping, they make that lovely, satisfying noise when they walk, and then when it does that, it's really cold. I love the bit where they used him as bait.
Oh, yeah, I wrote that down as well. It's like, I always found that funny. It was almost like when I saw it the first time, it was almost like it was like like the dinosaurs had it on a string or something. When they made it sound like it was like, drawing them out as bait, as if like they were cleverly put together some plan. It's like, right, if we put him here and then like pull him on his arm on a string to make it look like he's alive or something. And it's like,
but they're communicating entirely. Just concocting this amazing plan. It's like, yeah.
And then the overacting screaming as like the woman's near enough hanging off the tree. Yeah.
It's
just everything's just really dramatic with it all, and
with her especially. Yeah.
I can't gel with either one of them. At the end, I don't like anyone. Like, I have to have a character normally that I really fall in love with. There's no character in this apart from Ellie in the end. Like
Alan, but
I don't even care for him. Like, enough to get back on the island, then he can die.
I agree with Sophie in that respect, because I think with him in this film, they were just relying on the fact that he was in the first film and he already had that characterization. With this film, they almost kind of try to reverse it a little bit, where it's just, I mean, Alan Grant from the first film, when he says no force in heaven and earth to get me back on the island, I mean, he wouldn't go back on the island, but in this film, money, ka-ching, you're like, it's not part of the character. They just kind of just brought him back for the sake of it. I do agree, and that's a shame, because I absolutely adore Sam Neill. I think he's fantastic in pretty much everything he's in, but in that, you could just tell he was just given a kind of, here's what I think Alan Grant would do.
Question mark, yeah.
Yeah. And then the thing that they then do, I forgot about this, the subplot of this film is the two divorced people who we hate getting back together.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
How many people had to die for them to realize they loved each other? Why did they have to kill people to do this? I mean,
go to counselling if you've got a problem with your marriage. Don't go to a jungle. Like, if everybody had problems with the marriage and you just send them off to a jungle where there's dinosaurs just to like get the crap together, is that what it needs to be now? Because it's like, what? So I have to learn that I need to die to realise that I love you.
We have to be in a life or death situation. That's to be fair, they had to go and get the son, I suppose, but you didn't both. You need to do that. You didn't both of you have to go, would you? Just one of you has to go. I mean,
well, to be fair, would you have actually sent your son in the first place? There shouldn't be even a movie, because I would not have sent my son to an island to paraglide looking for some dinosaurs in the first place.
Yeah.
Sophie, dinosaurs have a 5-star rating on a TripAdvisor. They're a very trustworthy paragliding company. Yeah. I would absolutely trust my son in their capable hands. I mean, it's a giant restricted sign. How do they have business? Like, just. It
shouldn't even be a film. Like, literally, like, it shouldn't even be happening.
Yeah, if you think about it that way.
Yeah, like, don't go on illegal paragliding tours. There's the moral of the story. That's Jurassic Park 3.
And don't break up with somebody that you actually love just because you've had a fight. Yeah. Work through it, or go to counselling where it's cheaper and you don't die. Not no innocent person dies.
Right. Well, we get to the bit now, obviously, with the kid, Eric, coming out with the smoke bombs and saves Alan.
I feel like that bit's a bit poor. Like, I feel like Alan shouldn't need saving, in my opinion, by a little 8-year-old, well, maybe he's a bit older than that, 12-year-old boy or something. It's like, are you kidding me? He's Alan. He shouldn't need to be rescued. I know it was in a bit of a tricky situation, but he's experienced this 3 times now. He should know what he needs to be doing.
Probably wouldn't have got in that situation in the first place is probably the argument. Then again, that's the point, isn't it? He's surrounded by idiots that keep making terrible decisions on his behalf. That's how they should have played his character in this, I think. They should have played him as just somebody like Basil Fawlty, where he's just getting increasingly irate at all the stupid things they're doing until he's actually worse than the dinosaurs and kills them all. I think that's probably how I would have done it, because he is literally everyone except the 12-year-old is just screwing up in this film, left, right, and centre. It must be maddening. It must be horrifying. But basically, so Eric shows up and the T-Rex P. Have you written that down, Sophie? Please tell me you wrote T-Rex P down.
No.
I did.
What is that?
He's got all that stuff in his little bunker that he's somehow managed to find and store himself away in. And he's got Alan picks up this jar. It's like, this is T-Rex P. It's like, how did you get it? It's like, you don't want to know. It's like,
would you? I actually did sit there thinking, how would you get it? And
that'd been a more interesting story, I think, if to include
milking a cow came into my head. Is that
who milking a cow?
like how you'd milk a cow? Is that something like how did he get the pee?
This is horrifying. Well, T-Rex just stood there as well. Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know how you think a little boy would get T-Rex pee.
I don't think he'd risked his life just to go and,
I don't know. I just have this vision of like getting his ball or something while the T-Rex is peeing, standing underneath.
Yeah, he's just waiting. He's just like he's covered. He's like in his war paint and everything. He's like dressed like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando. He's like, I'm going to fulfill my lifelong dream.
You can't just say it's from a puddle because he said you don't want to know if you just got pee from a puddle. Why can't you tell someone that? You must have gone above and beyond to get the pee.
I think for me, it's probably just one of those things the writers put in there. Did a big old wink where it's like, hey, look. We're not going to explain how the kids survived, so we might as well just throw this in as well, just to really screw with people. And I think that's basically what they went with.
So then, obviously, they get to the point where it's like they meet up at the other side of the fence. So both of them is like the kid and the parents all meet up, and it's
that scene
and they're all
annoys me
shouting and
so
screaming
much.
again.
Mom, Dad, and it's like,
but then
love you so much.
What's it? Spinosaurus, is it? Comes along and they do this scene of where they're like, oh, we've got him out of this other cage bit, and they're like, okay, he can't get out of there now. And it's like, are you actually kidding me? Of course he can. Have you seen the size of him?
Bigger hug session.
Big hugs. And then they look back and they're like, oh, it's okay. We'll walk off into the sunset now. It's like, literally, if that were me, I'd be still running. I want to stop to say hi to my child and be like, right, just drag it on the floor. Let's go.
And obviously immediately then starts crashing through the fence and then like, oh, yeah, that's away.
Such film.
But then, thankfully, it gets defeated by a door, which is great. That's consistent. It smashes through that fence with barbed wire and concrete, but a big old door. Nah, it's like it gets up to it. It's like that. This is too much. This is too much, guys. This is. I'm out. Maybe the Spinosaurus is like William H. Macy with a vending machine. He did it the first time and he really hurt himself, and he's just like, I'm doing that again. I'll try again later.
Yeah. And then we get to the part with what did you write, Soph?
The bridge that I wouldn't walk across. I have a thing for bridges. I don't like them, and I don't know why. Every time we go to the lakes or something like that, and there's like this cute little bridge, and you're like, oh, this looks nice. And I'm like walking across it thinking I'm just literally going to put my foot on it and I'm going to fall all the way down and die. That's
even when it's like a concrete bridge.
But you love to jump on them, and you're like, boom, boom, and I'm like,
oh, it's like Donkey and Shrek. You're Donkey.
Can you stop that now? I hate it. I don't know what it is with me. I've got a bit of a thing for bridges. So when I saw that, Paul was like, yeah, you wouldn't walk on that. And I'm like, not in my wildest dreams, especially if he's jumping on it.
I don't think even then that's
so I've got the image now of you basically twirling on your heels and walking back to the Spinosaurus, like, nope. just going straight back. Embrace me with your teeth.
I wouldn't be going on the bridge. We'd have to find another way around. I'm sorry.
Just waiting there to die. Is that the bridge that goes to the Pteranodon?
That's right, yeah.
I will say that's my favourite part of the film is the pterodactyl stuff. I do think that's genuinely quite good, the way they shot it and everything. But obviously, before they do that, we do the big reveal, don't we, actually? I forgot about that, with the eggs.
Yeah, they find out Billy's
got eggs,
why they're chasing us down.
And this is another part for me where you get that line of the last thing that Alan says to Billy is like, kind of, you're worse than
the people who made this play, or created the dinosaurs or whatever he said. Yeah, it's
I always hate kind of those lines, and especially when something dramatic's happening. It's like me, I can never fall asleep in an argument with Paul or anybody. I hate it because, like, what if I don't wake up and then I've had a bad argument?
That was the last thing you said to that person, type of thing. Yeah.
So that's my kind of like mindset. So it's like in that situation, you could have thought it, but did you really need to say it to that person just in case something goes down? And
that's a good way to be.
Yeah. So, and it does, doesn't it? Bless him. Billy kind of gets in a bit of a tricky situation because he feels like he has to redeem himself now.
Well, to be fair, they have just been chased by velociraptors the entire way to the Pteranodon pit, to a Spinosaurus, entirely because of him, which is, still, he's not as bad as the people that made the dinosaur place, but at the same time, he's kind of dumb as the two awful parents in that respect. It's just, that's what I'm talking about. If I was Alan Grant, I think probably what he said was probably more a frustration by this point. It's like, are you for real? Why did you do that? Why did you think that was a good idea? Why?
Especially because he should know better, should Billy, shouldn't he? Really, because he's within the same fields of work and everything like that.
And he seems good friends with Alan anyway, so you kind of you hear these stories from him and about all this stuff, and thinking, yeah, maybe you should have picked up on stuff like that. Not to do something like that, perhaps.
Well, yeah, you just thought so. You thought it wouldn't have been that stupid.
But no, we need a film. So Billy's going to do something really stupid. Billy doesn't know any better.
It just gets worse and worse, doesn't it? How is this even possible? Because he ends up kind of being like, I'm going to rescue Eric, doesn't he? Because it's like, well, he's got this little boy, he's got, I don't know, a flying bird dinosaur now. That's how Sophie will describe.
Yeah, the pterodon. Yeah. And he's being fed to the baby ones and everything. And he's doing like
that. Doesn't make sense. Like you got to mulch them up to feed them. Like you don't just give them fully. Like birds don't give the chicks like, oh, here's a squirrel. It just that's not how they work.
No, and I guess it kind of gives you the principle of obviously he runs away, but it's like maybe he's just thinking, oh, I'll plop you there. You're going to stay there now and I'll come and get you after I get the others, maybe. I don't know. But like you were referring to, it literally looks like a game, doesn't it?
Yeah, like on some platform thing where you got to jump over there to get to the thing and avoid the boss that comes sweeping down on the thing.
Yeah.
So what does Billy end up doing now? He gets on his paraglide
he gets his
thing.
Parachute.
Like, I'll save you kind of thing.
And he saves him, but then he goes, and he has a pretty gruesome death, to be fair. It's impressively gruesome, death. But he has an impressively gruesome death, in that he's getting, pecked. I mean, I remember looking at it going, ooh, that's not nice at all. The kind of, I think the reference set in Jurassic World when that British nanny is brutally murdered, when they start pecking down, it's just, there is a really vivid awfulness to them just stabbing the water, and you can't see the body underneath, but that is not nice. I think that was. I do think a lot of that section was done really well, and I do have to give the film credit from my opinion. I did enjoy it, and then obviously it just go after that it reverts to normal.
Yeah. Again, we've got the gate which wasn't shut properly after they came out the
make a point of that. Obviously, this time going like do like it's like, oh well, we know what's going to happen now, don't we? Later on, again foreshadowing something going on, and then I've written down here, it's obviously nighttime now, and there's the thing with the, obviously that's, what kind of phone was it? Like a
satellite phone.
Satellite phone, that's it. And obviously that was the part when earlier on we missed out, where the Spinosaurus has it in his belly.
Yeah.
So that's so they can hear it. And then
they
start sifting through shit, which I think is quite ironic. To get to this.
No, that's like us trying to find the moral of the film. That's us in that situation, just piling through crap, and then the writers of the dinosaur that walk up and smell it and walk away, and just leave with us looking up, going, "Oh, sorry." Hold on, can we just touch on? Sorry, just one thing that I really hated just before the nighttime scene, after the pteranodon bit. They have a bit with the brachiosauruses.
Oh yeah, so they do. Yeah. A
lovely moment. The old theme's playing, and it's like, wow, this is so beautiful. And it's like, bitch, the last 45 minutes of this film, have you just been attacked mercilessly by everything? Everything you see once you're dead. The Spinosaurus destroyed your plane for no reason. Raptors trying to murder you because you stole something. Pteranodons literally just murdered a guy just then, and now you're like, it's so beautiful. And the thing doesn't even look nice. The Brachiosaurus looks evil. It's like, hey. And you're like,
it's like let's pan up, and then the head comes. It looks ugly. It just.
I think it reminds me of like a little bit like Medusa, like the snakes in the head, because he had like these like from the angles. I'm like, what are they doing? Why are they thinking that's endearing, like peering over? Because it's really not. It's a bit
and the way it's going over boats, so it's actually just straight up looking at you. It's like, I am nature, and you're like, go. And they gave it Sith eyes.
Exactly. Yeah, the patterning on it doesn't do it any favors, really.
It's a bloody dark side Jedi Brachiosaurus. It's awful. It's horrendous. And then it cuts to night and then shit, and you're like, what is happening? It's kind of like they're just trying to check off the film by this point, where it's like, okay, we need to get to the next thing now.
Yeah.
But
then this, as part of this scene, I don't know if you remember when watching it, but this is really pointless. This other dinosaur, I don't actually know what dinosaur it is. It's got like a horn on its nose. It's obviously like a carnivore of some kind. It kind of like, it's coming, like, watch out, it's coming. And it kind of like comes in for like 2 seconds and walks off again. It's like, what was the point of that? There was literally actual pointless scene, and then it's like next cut to them in the river. Like, I don't understand what they were going for.
It's comedy, isn't it? It's like the smell is so repulsive. Even this dinosaur thinks it's repulsive. He gives up eating people because the smell's so disgusting. It's like, wow, a shit joke in Jurassic Park. The Jeff Goldblum, that thing wasn't a shit joke. That was just him making an observation. This is an actual shit joke in Jurassic Park, and he's just terrible.
He was kind of scared because the shit of the Spinosaurus,
like the send.
Yeah, it was like, oh, he's close by. I'm best get me sent off. That's how I took it. Like,
I find it impressive that there's 3 different interpretations, which is comedy, or striking fear into other dinosaurs, and in Paul's case, what? just.
It's quite intriguing how many different people interpret things, but that was my kind of, I was trying to give it logic, I guess, like through the whole film I was trying to give it some sort of logic, and there really isn't any.
No. To be fair, bless you, because I think me and Paul, and I think a lot of people seeing it for the first time probably would have done the same thing. But I've always interpreted it as it's just supposed to be a funny throwaway gag. Like, the smell of the crap is so disgusting that the dinosaur doesn't eat the people because of it. And I remember no one laughed, and no one ever laughs. They're just kind of like, I think they actually are like Paul, where they're kind of just.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just I don't know what value that added. Really, a very expensive joke for obviously the filmmakers just to have this to do that.
Who is funny, Paul? Jurassic Park 3 done by the Farrelly brothers. I think, to be fair, I think the point of the scene actually was to establish that the Spinosaurus had crapped out the satellite phone. Therefore, there's this dread now that they don't know he's coming. We can't hear it anymore. But I do also think it's quite horrifying that the crux of the film, from this point on, is they need to get in touch with LA on a shit-covered phone,
Like, literally puts it to his ear straight away, though. When the phone rings, I'm like, seriously, are you actually going to do that? Like, I wouldn't want to do that. Like, your hands are covered in shit, and then you're literally going to put it to your face. It's like, I'd be like, the least of my ideas. I'd be like, right, okay, can I get something to wipe it down at least?
Wash it in the river.
Does anyone have a Kleenex?
Dettol wipe.
Yeah. Anti-bacteria.
I think you should rewatch the film, right? And just like do a counter for every time Sophie would just stop and give up, just in the middle of. No, I'm stopping here. I'm not. No, just ding. Just get to the bridge. Ding. Through. Ding.
I don't think I'd watch the plane, to be honest.
Well done. You win.
Open the bowls.
Yeah. I wouldn't have been climbing up the trees either, so that wouldn't have happened either. So probably would have been.
So, one of the dings is you getting mauled to death by velociraptors. Like,
yeah, probably would. I can't climb a tree to save my life. Poor Paul.
What?
You having to put up with me? If we were in that situation, we'd be screwed.
So, it's Paul be speaking so quietly as well. Like, you won't want to alert anything. Can you imagine?
I'd be like, Paul, just go on without me.
You're at the airport, Sophie. We've not even got on the plane yet.
Should have seen me when we went to Japan. I was like, Paul's really excited, like having a beer in the lobby before we go, and I'm on water and tea, and I'm like absolutely bricking myself getting on this plane. I didn't.
That's why people have beers beforehand, Sophie. That's why you get merrily kind of like, ugh, and then you sleep through it. Or in my case, you go to the toilets 3 times and drive the person next to you insane.
So going back to Ellie, then basically they have to ring Ellie, don't they, on the shit phone?
Yes.
Don't you think the cute little boy? Oh, I felt like that was you, Paul, when you were little, like loving dinosaurs, and then Barney comes on the TV and he's wanting. Do you remember Barney? I used to love Barney.
Yeah.
I love him to bits, and he's like obsessed with little Barney. He's got the phone in his hand, obviously not knowing what's going down
on the other line. Yeah.
Yeah. I quite liked this scene. It made me quite happy. It was the best part for me.
Yeah, it's kind of also giving
the film where nothing happens except he's just a toddler enjoying his life.
It's just cute, and I was like, "Oh, he's so adorable," and he's like dancing along to Barney. And I think I had a connection there because that's me when I was little. I liked Barney, so I could get it. Whereas the rest of the film, I couldn't.
So that's when the child almost kills them all because he stops to watch Barney as well. So I think that there might be like something subconscious there. So it's like, yes, they'll all die. just
as long as the little boy's happy watching Barney, he deserves to die. The rest of them that have decided to go on this island. So
then that's basically the Spinosaurus attack, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which again, it's not a bad scene. It's all right. I mean, unfortunately, the visibility is not the best, and cutting away to a nice, bright suburban neighborhood's quite jarring. It's kind of like, that was the thing with Spielberg with the T-Rex in the original. That entire bit with the T-Rex was just, you let it get on with it, and then you go to the quieter bit. So you got that nice juxtaposition and all that kind of stuff. I hope that's the right word. Whereas this one kind of cutting between Rah! To hello, how's it going? What a lovely neighborhood. It's just kind of uncomfortable, and I remember it being uncomfortable in the cinema, like just blasting to quite a noise. Again, after you watch the T-Rex bit in the first one, after the T-Rex roars, I remember, there's his victory roar after it's knocked the car off.
Yeah.
There's that one big like piece to camera, and it cuts to a quiet bit, and there's that lovely sense of relief you always get. You've suddenly realised you've gone through a really loud, action-packed bit, and the film's given you that moment to just go, oh, Whereas this one's kind of like, please.
Yeah, it just build the tension in the wrong way almost, kind of thing. It's like it's jarring, like you say. But the part with this, I mean, I don't know as to, maybe you may have an answer, I don't know, but from basically what she kind of got from what Alan said on the phone, if she got anything at all, to be fair, like how, obviously near to come to the end part, how does she know what he said or where he is, kind of thing?
I think they're just relying on the audience. They're like coming up with their own conclusions with that. Yeah, a lot of the writing in this film is just let the audience do it. Like the whole, how's the kid survived on the island this time? How did he get T-Rex pissed? How did he get down but the other guy didn't? They're leaving it up to you to basically do it because the guy couldn't be bothered, in my opinion. And I think this is just one of those instances. I think he literally just says Ellie, and then nothing else. So how I rationalised it was she probably knew he was going back to the island. He's probably told her. We never have a scene to establish that he's told her. That would have been good, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it have been good? Exactly, he goes to her and says, "I'm going back to the island." But even then, that doesn't make sense. Actually, thinking about it, because he thought he was going to the original island.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then the Navy would have rocked up on the wrong island. It's like, oh, so yeah, my theory's crap. I don't know how. There's your answer, Paul.
Because I was also thinking, where I was thinking, maybe if you leave it to your imagination that they had a conversation about it, but then you're right, because it's the different island anyway. So I think the only thing he says is it's the river or something. It's like, what?
Well, could she not track his?
That's nonsense.
I guess if it's a satellite
phone. I was thinking, could they track satellite? But even then, it's not his satellite phone. So unless he disclosed exactly who, but if he disclosed who he was going away with, but they lied about their identity, she wouldn't be able to track them by their identity for them to track the satellite phone.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Basically, again, you come up with it yourselves. Shut up. I've got a paycheck. I'm going to spend it. Leave me alone. Right? That's what I've done. Spielberg ain't doing this film. I don't care about it. That's the gist of the writing of this film.
Which is frustrating because I don't like a film that doesn't give me an ending properly and explain it. Where, things left uncertain, like that is a nightmare for me. Like, when the film just lets you decide.
Yeah.
And I will literally go to Paul, what did you decide in your head was the way the film should end? Because I like to know. And Paul's like, well, you can make up your own. And I'm like, no, because I will literally just do what we've just done here, where I will make up several different scenarios and I will not know which one's true by the end of it. So, like, never put me on a cliffhanger or anything like that, because I will literally drive myself insane. But with Ellie, what she does do, it makes me feel a bit bittersweet at the ending. Like the fact that she sends in the military, the army to rescue Alan. And it's like, you can see that there should be still a bit of a love connection there.
Yeah, they should be, shouldn't they? Yeah.
Oh,
it should be. I mean, it's great. I mean, I also love that she goes to that length. But at the same time, how? She, like, this was made in another video that I watched. She's a paleobotanist.
Yeah.
So the only other explanation is that her husband's in military or something. That's the only thing. Again, you've got to come up with it. Like, there's no explanation at all. You've got to invent the reasons why this makes sense, because the writer can be asked doing it for you. I mean, I don't want to write her explaining everything. I don't. Sometimes it is really, it's important to let your audience think for themselves. But I think in this case, it's not that they're engaging with you. They don't want you to engage with the plot. If anything, they want you to just shy away from it. They don't want you to think too much about it. And if you do think too much about it, it's your problem. It's not art. It's not the writers. It's your problem.
Yeah.
So
it's just a film. That's what they'd say. It's just a film.
It's just to get bums in seats. Yeah.
But to be fair, my other argument to this entire film, again, which would make the film void, is the army and the military weren't interested in going and searching for this boy on this island initially, only until Alan is on the island.
Yeah.
Because actually, if they'd have just done the job in the first place and gone and rescued the boy and not left him to die, we wouldn't have a film.
That's actually a really good point. That embarrassingly, I've never actually considered before. Why would they all go for this guy but not another guy, like a kid? It's weird. Like, why the rules should be different?
Again, privileges of your status in the dinosaur world, I suppose. I don't know.
Would it have been a completely different film if instead of going to Alan Grant, they went to Ellie Sattler? Just went, hey, we want you to go to this island. Oh, actually, we don't need to. I've got the military right here. They'll go for you. Fantastic. Yeah, that would have been a quick film.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe more enjoyable. I don't know, but
just before the ending, though, they obviously have the final confrontation with the raptors.
Yeah,
which is wonderful. Again, it's another high point of the film where apparently, if you blow through a carved piece of wood shaped like a raptor's voice box, you'll sound exactly like a raptor. Which is fantastic. That's incredible. That
you tried, Alex.
You'd like one. You if someone gave that to you as a gift, like, I made up. I can tell us about.
To be fair, if you ever go back and rewatch Jurassic Park 3, when you hear that noise, that's actually what sadness sounds like. That's what my sadness sounds like. It's that noise. It's if you did it as well, I'd be my lounge staring wistfully up, going, no, I hear you. I'm sad. I'm sorry. Terrible. No. And then the raptors nod lovingly, don't they? And then it's like, yes, we respect you, our king. You returned the egg to us, and we are noble raptors. We will bid you adieu. Enjoy yourselves at the island. Goodbye.
What I found weird was when they took the eggs back.
Yeah.
Like, the fact, I know this sounds really strange to put them in the mouth, and I'm thinking, well, they've got like eating machine teeth, like, but I'm going to put a fragile egg in my mouth.
One of them sneezes.
Drop it. Oh, shit.
I don't know how I thought they were going to carry an egg, but I just didn't assume.
Didn't have a post-war film.
That'd be such a brilliant ending. As if they spent the entire film chasing them, and one of them just actually eats it. Oh!
Trips over and it's like, oh no.
To say they're like a bird-related animal, like if that happened to a bird, how are they going to get that egg back in the nest? They're not, are they? Let's be honest. No, so I don't really think this dinosaur really could pick it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't think it looked realistic because it's like the way it did it, and I'm thinking it's got such sharp teeth, it would literally just break. You can drop an egg like that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, no, to be fair, I think because they were mostly animatronic in that scene. I think I'm right in saying that.
Much,
so I think they just probably tried it with the hands, but I think the whole animatronic leaning forward to grab something probably looks so ridiculous. They're like, just use your face. It's like, okay, I can bend down forwards. That's easy enough to do. Yeah, just craning your neck forwards.
And then I think that's pretty much, like I said, then the military comes in, they're all on the helicopters or whatever, and they realise that Billy is actually been saved.
Oh yeah, that was like the not so nutshell of, like, if you wanted somebody to be alive, it was like, I didn't really care. You know, like in the end, when normally you have that scene.
Yeah,
you're like, yes, Billy's alive.
It was like, oh, you're here.
You're actually alive. How did you actually survive that?
Yeah. In fact, he flowed all the way downriver, his mangled corpse, and they just found him at the end, like in pieces. Every moment I live is agony. It's like, don't worry, Billy, we've saved you. You know? Can I say this is one of my worst endings in any film ever? I just remember, it's mostly from being a kid, but I just remember the film just ends.
The last line is like, let's go home or something. It's like,
really?
Yeah, but it's etched into my brain. It's the guy in a tuxedo stood on a beach by himself. That shot is etched into my brain because that was where it heralded the most disappointing ending of my life at that stage, where they didn't try to have a satisfying ending. They didn't know how to end the film, so they just put a guy on a beach going, Dr. Grant, and then the military appears out of nowhere, like literally a T-Rex from the first film when it kills the raptors, like Jesus. I mean, you don't even see helicopters in distance when he's on beach,
not really,
where they just appear.
Yeah,
it's just nonsense. It's and then it just, for me, that was when it kind of solidified with its awfulness. Before then, there was that desperate hope that something was going to happen, like the T-Rex might come back and fight the Spinosaurus or something. Obviously, they're all kind of like childhood fantasies at the time, but it just ends. And I just remember that compounded disappointment, and then that's why I hate this film. And to this day, every time it screws up, even now, I'm like, yeah, you did screw up, didn't you? I'm kind of like now the evil stepsister and the film Cinderella, where it's just kind of like you're spitting on it and you're getting it to do more stuff because you hate it so much.
Yeah.
Which is strange because, like, obviously the original two films and also the Jurassic World, like, I would never have thought there was a film like this that's kind of making the Jurassic
tarnishing the franchise. Yeah,
I just don't really think it should be a film, which it sadly is. But thanks for making us watch it. You know,
you're welcome.
It's not like we've got anything else to do with this time, so you just thought we'd waste it on Jurassic Park 3.
To be fair, I don't think it's even the worst Jurassic Park film now, because I did watch Fallen Kingdom recently, and that's horrendous. The thing about Jurassic Park 3 compared to Fallen Kingdom, so I had to go at this film for not having anything to say at all, which it doesn't. With Fallen Kingdom, it had a lot to say, and I had no idea how to say anything. It's kind of like I have no idea what its arguments were or anything, but it would just say things, and it was thinking it's quite profound, and it ended up having about 15 messages that went over itself, but it somehow managed to be as stupid as Jurassic Park 3, which for me makes it worse. Like, it just frustrates me so much. Whereas Jurassic Park 3, because it is so dumb and because it's so minimal effort, you can kind of see it for what it is, which is bad. Whereas Fallen Kingdom is like a profound level of trying too hard and still being very bad. Whereas this film's not trying and it's being bad, the same level. So, yeah. Still bad, though. I still hate it.
Okay.
Passionately. Talking about it makes me hate it.
I think then, if you're ready to give it a scoring of some description, I think we'll go to that.
So we normally score ours 1 to 10.
Yeah.
So obviously 10
Right.
being the lowest, Alex. So if you want to score it a 10, then
I feel like you're trying to trick me here.
maybe
Is it possible to have a? Is it possible to have a turd phone out of 10? Would that be a score? If you're letting me go first, I'll say it's a 4 out of 10 for me, and because there is some good bits in it. I do the Pteranodon stuff is mostly really well done. I hate lazy writing. Like, it's a massive pet peeve of mine. If you're not engaging with what you're doing, then why should I engage with it? I really detest it. I don't like it at all. And it just shows a contempt of the audience. You're just going in for your paycheck. I mean, fair enough. It's your living. You're entitled to get your wage and all that kind of stuff. But if your job's entertaining, entertain, man. So for me, it's a 4 out of 10. There's still craft there. There's still, outside of the writers, there's still people trying to do a good job, doing the best.
Yeah.
But it's just a really poor film. It followed 2 films that I really loved as a kid, and it managed to take a ginormous turd all over it, which I'll never forgive it for. It's kind of like the thing I've always said about Jurassic Park. There's better films out there, and smarter films. But for me, it's always my favourite film because there's that young part of me that loves it. And it's that same young part of me that will never forgive this film. Always hates it. And that's why. So as a pragmatist, I'm giving it a 4. As a 7-year-old, I'm giving it a minus 5,000. Sorry about that.
That's right. Well, that's a good thing. I'm on the same page as you with the scoring on that. So it'll be a 4 out of 10 for me. There's the whole thing of it's still, the dinosaurs, like the raptors, like when you kind of see them up close, and they're trying the hardest with what they've got, really, but there's some shots that it just doesn't look up to scratch with what it's obviously it's not going to compare with the first one anyway, but it's this, like, the story and the characters themselves are just so lackluster. The story plods along at such a boring pace, even though it's hour and a half, it just drags. They try and have the music. I noted down it was obviously original scores by John Williams, but new music composed and conducted by Don Davis. So it's kind of like trying to.
I'm sorry to interrupt your scoring, but that's a good point we had touched on. The music. Have you noticed, like with this and like the Star Wars films, people really struggle copying John Williams. Like they're really like Michael Giacchino. He's a fantastic composer.
Yeah,
but his John Williams scores, I think, suck. Rogue One sounds flat and awful, and every time he kind of he's about to break out in the Star Wars theme, he kind of like the dare. And Don Davis, this score is just, it doesn't seem to get the timing right, the pacing of the music right, and they somehow do everything wrong. I mean,
yeah, exactly. It's trying to recapture that, but it just doesn't work the same way, and it's a bit disappointing in that regard as well. And it's so it's obviously as a younger, it's kind of like overlooked it a little bit, but now just more I've seen it, especially this watch. It's kind of like, oh my god, this is just so terrible. But it's still dinosaurs at the end of the day, so I can't be too harsh a criticism, I suppose.
Dinosaurs on the big screen
is clutching that.
Yeah.
And the Pteranodons scene is probably the best part of it, like you pointed out as well. One of the only good parts of it, to be fair. But it gives the points for, I guess, just having a laugh really about it.
It is so bad you can laugh about it. And we're also going to find out what Sophie thinks of it now. And it's all about you, Sophie. It's the first time you've watched it.
I don't have the love of dinosaurs or Jurassic Parks as you two do. I only love it because you love it, really. That's like literally the only reason I would watch it and sit in the pouring down rain when we did for Jurassic Parks.
Yeah.
It's because of you. Otherwise that wouldn't be like on my bucket list of, I must go see this film live and
or see any of the other ones.
I probably wouldn't have done. The only reason why I probably would have seen Jurassic World is because of Chris Pratt. He's quite dishy. That helps. So that would be the only
More
reason.
love hearts, Paul. More love hearts.
Oh, I know about that one, yeah.
It's him, and then it'll probably be, definitely Ryan Reynolds. Basically, I don't have that kind of nostalgia child connection as you guys do. I think with this film, it was really slow going. I don't think I really enjoyed it. That's why I started doodling like literally 30 minutes in. Will I watch it ever again? No,
I
please
don't expect you to, and I don't think, to be honest, I don't think I have any real desire to watch it. Certainly,
I'm going to buy you tickets to watch it in the rain.
Please no. It feels like a little bit of half an hour, like an hour and a half of your life wasted. You don't get any answers. Nothing's coherent. It's really
got to fill in the blanks where you can, to make this sort of story make sense.
Yeah, and you've just got to kind of take it for what it is. There's no actual character that shines and stands out, and I think, oh, I really would like, apart from Ellie, I think, probably to be one of my friends so that she can call the military if I get in a little bit of a pickle. Like, literally, that would be the only reason. There's nobody that I think, oh, I really hope that they survive. You know, that element of wanting somebody to kind of go through this hard, rough kind of patch and then want them to come out of the other end. I don't care. Like, you could all die on the island and I wouldn't really care. To be honest, I think it might be a better ending. And I know that sounds daft. But for me,
no. By the end of it, I was on board, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, the dinosaurs are weird. They look strange. And obviously, I'm not like you guys who knows what the dinosaur names are and what they should look like. Like I actually said to you, I want the Spinosaurus or whatever you were saying. I was like, is that actually a real dinosaur? Does that actually look like one?
At the time, that's what they thought it looked like, yeah. Recent studies, like I said, it's more just like look aquatic, but it's the same principle is there with how it looks with the spine and the snout and everything. But
they still don't know if they have feathers or not. They're still having big fights about that.
I think if it's aquatic, then it shouldn't. It should be more scaly. That's my.
Could be a wet chicken.
So I think I cannot, and I'm so sorry. I think it's going to be a 3 from.
Do not apologise.
No, no need to apologise for this.
You would have to apologise if you gave it 9.
You'd be like, what? You see them.
I'd slap this laptop shut.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I like Jurassic Park and I like Jurassic World, but I would not watch the third one. I think stop while you're good. You know, like, why make another one and ruin everything? That's my principle.
Yeah. Well, we've got the other one. What coming out? Is that 2022 now? For the next one,
probably, yeah. And they're getting they're getting all the original 3 back from the first film to be in this one. I'm just a bit concerned because Colin Trevorrow, really, for me, he's just a bit kind of 7 out of 10 in the nicest way. He's not really done anything for me that like blows me out the water. I think. Yeah. I think I've said to you, Paul, before. For me, Dominion, if it's a 7 out of 10 film for me, that'll be fine. You know, that's what I want. But I do not want a Fallen Kingdom again.
No,
I do not want
really,
that.
Really
I don't want this nonsensical mess, which does nothing except feel filler between Jurassic World and whatever they try to do with this one. Because I think basically my impression of Jurassic World is he's trying to do Planet of the Apes, like the new films. Yeah. But he's gone about it really dumb. And the other thing I feel about these films are he's done Jurassic World. He made a name for himself. He got the Star Wars job. And he stayed on as executive producer with the second one. But he's kind of like, hey, I'm moving up Star Wars, man. I'm fine. Then something's happened where he's not done the last Star Wars film. For the record, I think his Star Wars film probably would be better in the nicest way. And now he's come back and now he cares about Jurassic World again and he's going to make it good. So I do think the next film's going to be better than Fallen Kingdom. I just don't think it's going to touch the first one for me at all. No. I don't think it'll get close to the second one either. But I think it could be better than Jurassic World. And for me, that'll be fine going forward. And if he screws up Ian Malcolm, no, it's a 4 out of 10.
Hopefully, it gets more than, like one couple of sentences of dialogue, or like what.
You didn't even feel like Ian Malcolm in Fallen Kingdom, to be honest, did it? It's just kind of like Jeff Goldblum on set.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. just read this. It's like, okay.
I think we will wrap the podcast up there. So thank you very much for joining on this episode, Alex.
No, thank you very much for having me.
You are on Twitter mostly now, aren't you? So if people want to obviously tweet at you about love for Jeff Goldblum or whatever.
Sure. Yeah, my Twitter it's sometimes political, but it's mostly retweets of stupid things and occasional dumb thoughts I have. If that sounds interesting to you, then it's at Awesome Morris. That's MORRIS. It was a joke. I don't actually think I'm awesome. I'm not a douchebag. It was just a kind of like, hey, awesome instead of Alex, because I'm a really smart person, and that was about it. So if you do want to follow, perfect. If not, all cool, man. But thank you so much for having me. I've had a really good time talking about it. Yeah. Not so much remembering it, but talking about it.
Maybe not. Yeah. Right. So if you want to check out all our other episodes, you can of course find us on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, and wherever else you might get your podcasts from. And of course, we are also on Twitter and Instagram under the handle SP_filmviewers. If you want to follow us on there.
So I hope you really enjoyed our chat with Alex as well, and all our thoughts and the wonderful film that is Jurassic Park 3. Definitely don't watch it, but definitely listen to us and see what you think, and hopefully you'll have a little bit of a laugh along the way, especially with Alex and his animated way of saying things. Which definitely makes us laugh.
Yeah, and we'd definitely love to have you again for an episode in the future as well, mate.
Something nicer to watch, please.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
No, thank you, guys, thank you.
So thank you very much, and we'll speak to you next time.
Speak to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.